Hey everyone! In this video, we'll be taking a look at the Miyoo Mini Plus. This handheld is a very popular handheld retro emulator, and with good reason. This little guy on its own is a pretty well put together device. However, with the inclusion of community mods like OnionOS, we can unleash even more power from this device, including Nintendo DS emulation. Now, before we get into the video, I want to give a huge shout out to Geekbuying, who was kind enough to send this over, and the Anbernic RG35XX as well. We'll be taking a look at that one in a separate video, and then doing another video comparing the two direct head-to-head. If you're curious to see what kind of handhelds they have offered for sale, they have sales going on. I'm sure they probably have some Black Friday sales coming up. Please do check out their links in the description below, whether you're checking out these devices or just wanting to go check out their website and see what they have. There will be a discount coupon, that you can take advantage of as well for the Miyoo Mini Plus and the Anbernic RG35XX. Taking a look at the unboxing of the device, we can see that it is pretty bare bones. However, the coloring in the package was quite nice, I think, compared to the plain boxes of the Anbernic devices at least. Inside, you'll find a USB-A to USB-C cable, as well as a screen protector and some cleaning wipes. And of course, we have the device itself. Now, looking over the device, we can see that the device given to me for review is a nice kind of retro power color, similar to Neo devices if you've ever seen those. Now, I'm sure some will not like it, but I really like this color design on pretty much anything. You'll be happy to find that they offer a variety of colors though, ranging from purple, black, and white, with the purple and black being translucent. As for the specs of the device, we have a 3.5-inch 640 by 680p IPS display. Powering it is a Cortex A7 processor with 128 megabits of DDR3 RAM. The Miyoo Mini Plus also has a 3000 mAh battery, which can last for a rated 5 to 6 hours. It also has support for Wi-Fi, and on top of that, it does have a rumble or a vibrate feature. Now, the handheld has 4 face buttons: start, select, a menu button, and a crosshair style D-pad. On the bottom right side of the device, we'll have a mono speaker, and alongside the bottom, you will find an SD card slot, 3.5mm headphone jack, and the USB-C port. Along the left side is the volume rocker, and the right side is kept clear. On the very top of the device, we'll have power buttons and the LED indicator. One power button, not two. The back side of the device is where you'll find 4 trigger buttons, which will allow you to play up to PS1 games on its own software. Now, depending on which version you buy from Geekbuying, you can either receive a card loaded with games or nothing at all. While I don't know the full list of games, there were a lot of my favorites too, so take that for what you will. Where it might be lacking for a lot of people is the PS1 collection. However, these are bigger files, so you can either delete them and replace them with your own, or remove them for more space if you don't plan on emulating PS1. Now, when you fire up the device, you are met with simple software. There's not much in the way of a tutorial or anything really. You're just left with your own devices. Now, referencing the manual will be key here to understanding the software a little bit better, as well as to learn some of the shortcuts. Now, launching a game is as simple as finding the console you would like to play and go from there. While you can search inside of each console or handheld, you cannot do a system-wide search, or at least from what I could find. And that was a real pain in the butt for me, especially if you have a lot of ROMs and you want to set up your favorites easily. Now, going on from there, getting into the gameplay itself, I had no complaints whatsoever. In fact, in a lot of cases, I was quite blown away with how some of the games I played came out looking on the IPS display. Playing some of my favorites from the Game Boy Advance like Wario Land 4 and Super Mario World on the SNES, the games on their own already look so much better than on actual hardware. After going into the device and blind and not really knowing fully what you could do with it, I would have been more than happy to just play the games as is. However, in RetroArch you can apply filters, and the one I happen to like is the upscale 2x filter included. It seems to sharpen up the 2D games quite a bit, and another option you could use would be to use integer scaling, as the default was to fill the screen, thus resulting in stretching. Now, using this device, however, did not seem really the most intuitive with its software. It was minimal and got the job done. I played some PS1 games like Gran Turismo 2 and had no issues. However, already knowing slightly about OnionOS and GarlicOS, I decided to dive into that to potentially gain more performance, or at least a little bit more ease of use. As it turns out, for those that don't know, OnionOS is the original and is developed solely for the Miyoo Mini Plus, Mini and Mini Plus, sorry. And GarlicOS is a copy of it, but is allowed to run on more devices, namely the Anbernic RG35XX. Now, installing OnionOS is an absolute breeze. Just note, if you purchase the SD card option with games, make sure to copy those off the drive just to be safe. Now, first you'll go into the GitHub OnionOS page, you'll find the link in the description, and download the latest version. After that, you'll have to extract all the files and place them onto the SD card or a blank SD card. As long as it's formatted to be FAT32, there should be no issues. You'll also want to make a folder called ROMs and place the games in there, separating them by console. If you want to have Nintendo DS games on your device, go to this link provided and download the latest version of DRASTIC, then place it in the EMU folder. I believe the latest version for me was like 1.5 or 1.6 or something. I can't recall off the top of my head though. Once you've got all your ROMs on the SD card and OnionOS is transferred over, you can place the SD card back into the Miyoo Mini or Mini Plus, and it'll give you a first-time install screen with some tips on what the OS offers. After that, you will select your emulators that you would like to have, or as well as any other apps that are in there. I recommend getting the Onion OTA updates as well as System Search, and then once everything is downloaded, you're pretty much good to go. The UI is clean and simple, and if you head into the quick apps, or into the apps, there is a quick guide, if you ever forget the quick commands. Going into the settings, you'll also find your Wi-Fi connection, brightness, and display settings, and other than that, there isn't too much in there. When back out of the main menu, pressing select will refresh all of your ROMs, as when you add new ones, you'll have to do this. Now, when you're inside a system or handheld, you can press the select again to search or add the game to your favorites. My biggest gripe about the UI is when you have multiple favorites across multiple systems, it doesn't separate them by consoles first. They just lump them all in together and they just kind of leave it at that. One thing to note though is if you press Y on a game when you're inside searching for a game to play, you can use Screen Scraper, which will also download all of the box art for your games. This will take a while if you have a lot, and from what I can tell, you need to do it system by system. I'm not sure if you can do it all in one lump sum go. I'm sure there probably is a way to do it, but honestly, I really only needed to do it the one time and then just didn't really need to worry about it again. Now, I'm sure OnionOS performs better in certain scenarios versus the stock mini UI. However, in the limited games I tested across systems, I couldn't tell a major difference. However, the major advantage of OnionOS is the ability to install custom platforms and emulators onto it, such as Nintendo DS or the DRASTIC emulator. I was able to play Super Mario 64 with automatic frame skip enabled and Mario Kart 64 with frame skip set to 1. Playing New Super Mario Bros. Also required me to take over manual control and set the frame skip to 1. While it wasn't really expecting amazing performance out of this machine, anything I could throw at it, it seems to be able to handle with no issues, within reason obviously. I'm sure there are some DS and PS1 games out there that will cause major slowdown and you won't be able to play whatsoever, but I was able to play Gran Turismo 2 and it didn't have any issues whatsoever. Playing older consoles like the SNES and the GBA are an absolute dream on this device, OnionOS or not. The screen was bright enough and crisp enough for me to really appreciate what felt at times like a remaster or HD version of your old games. Now, coupling this with OnionOS, however, it turns into a somewhat clumsy feeling device into a more fleshed out machine, which is constantly getting updates with more and more features being added. Now, who is this device for? Coming in at $54.99 with the game card and $51.99 without, this is honestly a pretty great little pastime. When loaded with OnionOS, you can quickly switch between multiple games on the fly. You can whip it out on the bus or train and kill a few minutes here and there. Or if you're a student with a break during or between classes, no matter your purpose for it, you should have a pretty good time with it. Not having anything personally really to compare it against with anything other than the Anbernic RG35XX, which they sent over as well, and the RG505, which I have on my own. That's an Android-based device though, so it's completely different. I can say though, however, I do see the appeal of having a simple device. Something to play 8-bit or 16-bit classics with maybe some light 3D games. Would I personally buy one? No, but that's only because I don't play enough retro games to kind of justify having a dedicated device to. And when I do, I'll just play them on like the Steam Deck or the Ally or something that I just kind of have at hand. Sure, it's probably not the best way to play it, but whatever. That's just how I'll play them. Having something ultra portable though to throw in a backpack or a pocket while on the go sometimes beats having a Steam Deck or Windows handheld. As well, with it being a lower cost device, comparatively, if you are in a high risk theft environment, the monetary or emotional attachment may not be as high as something like a Steam Deck. On Reddit, I often see posts of people bringing their expensive handhelds on a subway and commenters stating that they would be too scared to do that or would never bring the Ally or Steam Deck on the subway. I don't happen to be in such an environment, however, I do see that as being a pro. In conclusion, devices like these are best suited with a purpose in mind. If you have a strong nostalgia for Game Boy, Game Boy Color, or Advanced, this is a perfect device for you, I think. The bright, crisp display, coupled with being able to emulate much higher-end consoles as well, it truly is a 4x3 content king. When married to OnionOS, the sky truly is the limit with what the developers will implement next. Nintendo DS emulation on this device is a true marvel, and while it's not perfect, I would say the experience was mostly enjoyable. Do not go into this device with the expectations that you'll be running anything later than PS1. When playing 2D games, I had no issues at all with the input, and it didn't seem to have any major rollover when pressing hard down on the D-pad, rocking from left to right as well. Beyond that though, I will be revisiting this device in the future when I compare both this and the Anbernic RG35XX, and quite honestly, other than size, you'd be hard pressed to find a difference with these two. Now, if you're interested at all in that, please consider subscribing and then immediately unsubscribing when you get the content you want, because ultimately I don't care. Feel free to check out the links in the description below if you want to check out the Miyoo Mini Plus for yourself, or if you want to go and check out the Anbernic RG35XX. And at the very least, as always, have a great day.